Hey everybody, so this is a weird angle and a different setup. I've got mayhem happening over there that I'm trying to be discreet about because I'm not in a position to clean it right now. I had to take a little break from YouTube because my stepdad passed away. He had a very short battle with cancer, and my family and I were in and out of the hospital with him, and he passed away. So I just, I needed some time. And then immediately after that, I sprung into this whatever respiratory infection or something that I have that's going around and hitting everybody. But I figured I'd go ahead and knock this one out because this is one that I was really anticipating doing like over a month ago and I didn't put it up yet. And this is about embarrassment, like how to navigate feelings of embarrassment and I don't know, like, social isolation when it comes to being a denture wearer. And I don't think that this is something that, only applies to a specific group. Like I see a lot of people make comments on my videos about, oh, it's easier for men or it's easier for women, or some young people think, oh, it's easier for older people because they should know to expect that this is what's going to happen. And I just want you to get that out of your head right now, because if you are a social being, you care. You care. People who literally don't care at all, like never care what people think about them, that's not a common thing with social creatures. Like, we care. Now there's varying degrees on, how much we let that affect us, but most of us do want to be liked. We want to be perceived in a positive light. And, there's this whole scale there. But I want you to understand that just because a person puts themselves out there and acts like they don't care doesn't mean that they don't. They're probably just better at hiding the fact that they do than a lot of people are. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. And I want to thank Ivoclar Vivadent for sponsoring this video. If you guys don't know, I'm talking about them all the time on my channel because they're an awesome company. I mean, I've known a lot of the employees there since like 2011, 2012. And over the years, they've always provided support to me. They've educated me and helped me along my journey to help me understand the professional side of things. They're a dental manufacturing company that produces products that dental professionals use on patients like us. So if you want to learn more about their company, make sure that you visit the link in the description box below. It's www.morethanAdenture.com. When I was really little, I was the one that would be hiding behind my mom. I was shy. I was, avoiding eye contact because I was always so aware of the people around me and I wanted to make a good impression. And like, how kids will say like really funny things, like silly things. And adults think that it's the cutest thing ever and they all laugh. Like I have experiences like that where it was kind of traumatizing. Like I was just so nervous and unsure, uncertain of myself that I just preferred to keep quiet than to talk most of the time. So I wasn't very outgoing when I was a kid. And then I started meeting people in the neighborhood and I found my tribe and stuff like that. And so I got a lot more comfortable. But then the mid 90s, we moved to Jacksonville. It was a totally different ball game here. And I had to switch gears or I would not have survived school at all, period, because it was rough back then. And I started to take on more of like a tough girl role. Like I was like hardcore or something like that when I totally wasn't. I was super soft and sensitive and very fearful, always like worried about having a social situation at school that I could not live down. Like if I did something dumb and everybody roasted me, if I said the wrong thing to the wrong person and they wanted to fight me and I knew I couldn't fight, like that kind of stuff. Like I felt like I had to take on an entirely different personality. So, navigating that was really difficult. I'm not naturally just, I don't care. Like we all care. We all care. Even me. I care. But when I did start to kind of isolate because of my teeth, like after I had gotten out of school and my situation with my teeth got, rapidly worse, I had to start reflecting on things like meanings, like why am I even here? Because I was truly suffering. I was in pain all the time. I felt like a caged animal. I felt like I couldn't be myself. I had no control over my life. Like every choice that I was making, it felt like it was to mask the pain and the shame that I was dealing with. And that was hard. That was really hard. And so I had to focus on other things. And so it made me internalize, and religion plays a lot into this, Christianity, I'm a Christian, but like I'd start, getting into, what do I value? What do I value? Like, I can't just be here to suffer. So there has to be something bigger. There has to be something more meaningful than this day-to-day, just trying to survive situation that I find myself in. And I discovered that, I don't care what shallow people think about me. Of course, I want to be liked. Of course, I want people to think good things about me. But beyond that, when I really thought about it, I valued things like truth and honesty. I did not value the way that I was living, where I felt like I had to lie. For what? It didn't make me feel better. It didn't make me feel better. I was, in a horrible state for a long time, for 10 years. And lying about it and avoiding it and pretending it wasn't there didn't help me in my situation at all. So what was I doing? I was doing it to make other people comfortable. I value compassion, like people that would take compassion for somebody like me and not judge me, not chastise me and say that I brought it on myself, or make assumptions about whether, I did this or that, or what my lifestyle choices were and stuff like that. Like, I don't value those things. I value people that extend empathy and compassion to others. And so it seemed like the more I cultivated, and really solidified, what do I value? What's my foundation? What do I expect out of others? And what am I willing to give to others? The more I developed that, the less I was bothered by what other people thought about me. Again, you care, but it determines how you're going to react to it. So, while I don't like this situation, I don't want to be in this situation, I wish that it were different. I don't have control over it. I can't change the way that this person thinks. So what do? It was just I don't value your opinion because it's coming from a place of judgment and things that don't align with my moral code. You know what I mean? So that was number one. And remember, I'm not an expert on this stuff. The only thing I can give you, unless somebody else is, passed along the information to me, is my own personal experience. And these are some of the things that I did to help minimize the embarrassment of becoming a denture wearer. So number one, I checked myself. I thought about what I value most in life and what I'm willing to give to others and what I expect in return, to the point that the opinions of these people that clearly lack character and integrity doesn't matter. Much like a child that will come up and be like, hey, what's that on your face? And without even thinking, that's how I thought about them. And so the next thing, and it's kind of a spring off of that, is that because I was so isolated and I spent a lot of time in my head, I observed a lot of people. I observed interactions, and I've kind of, I've done this my whole life to a degree. I watch people and I pay attention to what they say and how they say it and what their hobbies are, and connecting the dots, putting the patterns together in a way that makes sense to me so that I can, get through life. And one of the things that I realized is that, we all share a lot of the same common fears. And I'm not talking about for instance, I'm scared of snakes. Is it snakes or is it something deeper than snakes? Because when it comes to snakes, it's the whole mystery of not being able to judge what they're gonna do next and how they're moving, and that I might not see it. It's kind of like a fear of not having control of myself and my environment, because they camouflage themselves, and there's surface level fears, but then usually with those surface level fears, there's deeper fears when you really think about it. And so a lot of us at our core, we have a lot of the same fears. And so even if a person appears to be very outgoing and just so confident and sure of themselves, I know better. And I know that while this is what they're projecting to the world, nobody's mastered themselves. None of us have mastered ourselves. They have fears too. And so it kind of leveled the playing field to where I didn't feel like I was less important, less valuable, my struggles that I was dealing with were just way worse than everybody else's. It just made things a little bit more even for me. And that was something that helped me get a grip on it, to where when it came time to get the dentures, I was like, just because I can't see what that person's struggling with doesn't mean that they aren't. And this is fine. Like, there's no telling what they've gone through. And I need to stop comparing this to them because I don't see everything. But the last thing is that I really wanted to focus on what matters to me, what is important to me. And that is that I want to live the best life that I can, period. I want to live as good and as true as I possibly can. And dealing with what I had gone through for 10 years and the humiliation that I had already come out of, I couldn't sustain that much longer. It would have drove me crazy because I couldn't live authentically. I couldn't be true to myself and the things that I wanted to do because I was constantly ashamed. And so I decided when I got my dentures that I was going to leave that behind me and I wasn't going to be that way anymore. And it doesn't mean that I wasn't, afraid. When I made that first YouTube video, I was very afraid. And for the first 6 months to a year, I was nervous that I'm doing this on YouTube. I don't know how big this is gonna get. I had no idea at the time, but eventually somebody is going to watch it that knows me. I'm not gonna be able to fully explain myself. All these thoughts are going on in my head. So I was afraid, but I felt convicted to make the video because, I thought if I just made a YouTube video back then, of me just talking about one of my hobbies or something, or talking about, my interests or whatever. And I didn't ever say, well, guess what? None of my teeth were real. Then I'd constantly feel that guilt looming over me, knowing that somebody might watch the video and think, wow, that must be nice. I wish I could be on camera, but I can't because my teeth are bad, or because, whatever else I think is wrong with me, or, you get what I'm saying. I felt like a personal conviction to come clean off the top and just lay it out there on the very first video and say, hey, this is what I'm dealing with. I'm 26 and I just lost my teeth. But it wasn't something that was very easy to me. We're all afraid. We're all nervous, but we all matter. Our lives are just as important as those people, as all of them out there that we're constantly self-conscious around. So those are just some mental ways that I was able to reframe the situation in a way that made it don't want to do this, gotta do it, gonna do it, don't care. That's how I handled it. So let me know what your thoughts are. Are you embarrassed about getting dentures? Are you worried that you might have to go to work and explain things to your coworkers? Did you have those fears and find something within yourself, or maybe some advice from somebody else, or a situation that you encountered that helped you overcome those fears of embarrassment? Drop a comment, let me know, because that's, aside from money, I think that money is probably the biggest factor. There's a few other reasons why people forego getting treatment, aside from money, and that's fear of pain and worry that they're not going to end up with a functioning set of dentures, or they think that they need implants. In addition to all of those things, there's a lot of people that are really, really worried about what people are going to think about them. And if we could, start a conversation to help them deal with those things that they're going through, then they can find healing just like a lot of us did, because I'm telling you, my life is completely different. Night and day difference. I'm not this super confident, extroverted, outgoing party animal. It's just not who I am. But, I'm passionate about what I talk about, and that's what makes it easier for me. So let me know what you think. Drop a comment below. Make sure that you follow my socials. All of those links are in the description box. And I will see you guys again next time, and y'all take care.